Hello, everyone. Welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Mudit Dandwate, who is the co-founder of Dozee, which is India's first AI-based contactless remote patient monitoring system. And it's also an early warning system. Hi, Mr. Mudit. Welcome to ELI.
Thanks a lot, Priya. Pleasure to be here, and pleasure to be amongst your list of very renowned guests as well. So thanks a lot.
It's our pleasure also to have you here. I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience and introduce in a way, talk about your early life. How was your childhood? Where did you study? And prior to entrepreneurship, what all things did you do that led you to become a founder?
Yeah. Hi, I am Mudit. I am CEO and co-founder of Dozee. Prior to this, I was born and brought up in Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh, a small town in the heart of India. Uh, and after completing my 12th grade, I went to IIT Bombay. I chose mechanical engineering because my passion was into cars. In IIT, I actually joined a team where we used to build full scale, Formula One style cars and used to race
Mm-hmm.
internationally as well. And in my 4 years, I built 4 race cars and then also worked on some very interesting projects like a cricket bat, then lots of projects we did, which also were launched commercially as well later. And then I joined a company called Altair Engineering, and we were working to create mechanical simulation softwares to help improve the high performance car designs and so on. So that used to be my bread and butter at that time. And during that, I was exposed to a lot of sensing technology, AI, ML, and decided that what we are doing, if this can be applied to human health, it can be wonderful. And that's where Dozee also started.
Got you. Before I start talking about Dozee, you spoke about cricket bat. I can understand cars, racing cars, but what did you do with cricket bat?
So it was a very interesting project. We actually, bat was there. We redesigned the edges in that way that once the ball hits the bat, right,
Mm.
the edge, the catch, falls much before the wicket keeper, so the reaction time is much lesser. It was in fact approved by MCC and later launched also, right? And it was also bought by Legends as well later.
Oh wow! Is it in use already in the modern day cricket?
Yeah, I think it also came into use as well.
Oh wow! So, tell us a bit about Dozee. I kind of mentioned in a very technical way, contactless remote patient monitoring system.
Correct.
But I don't understand what is the meaning of that. So, tell us
Yeah.
about how does it work, what it means in the first hand.
Yeah. So what we have created is a proprietary technology. So it's a thin sheet of sensor that goes under the mattress. And without even touching the human body, right, we monitor all aspects of human health, like heart rate, respiration, blood pressure, SpO2 temperature, and so on continuously. And if there is any kind of anomaly, then AI engine, flags it and, sends the alert to the clinicians, nurses, and so on, so that they can take a corrective action in time.
Mm-hmm.
Where right now this is being applicable is actually hospitals, right? Outside ICUs, the standard of care is pretty much that all these monitoring is done manually by the nurses every 4 to 6 hours,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually suboptimal. A lot of adverse events do happen in hospitals because of this manual spot checks which are there. What Dozee does is entirely automates this entire process. It not only reduces the burden on nurses and staff, but also improves the patient safety because you are under monitoring continuously. And if there is any changes, it alerts the staff in time so that they can take a corrective action quickly and save lives, right? So that's how Dozee works. Right now, we are functional in more than 300 hospitals across India as well.
Okay. So the way I see it, the problem is pretty straightforward. There is a existing problem, and your product is bang on catering to the problem. Um, but how does it work? What's the technology in place? There is a AI ML angle to it. How's it? Wo-
So
what are the different components behind the scene?
yeah. No, yeah, very interesting question, right? So I briefly touched upon race cars, right? Remember?
Mm,
So actually, what Dozee actually uses is some inspiration from there. We use some vibration sensors, right? These vibration sensors are placed under the mattress, under the heart of the patient. And in every smallest of vibration that heart or respiration or body movements are creating, even
mm,
when individual heart walls are also moving, it captures that. And then we use machine learning and AI to convert this, this signal of vibrations into different biomarkers, right? So that's how Dozy actually works. So it
mm,
makes the entire piece of health monitoring, which is typically a very cumbersome process. You have to put wires, electrodes, cuffs, and whatnot, right? If
mm,
you would have seen patients in ICU and all that, it makes it very easy because it's just you lie down on the bed without even touching it, is monitoring all that with clinical grade accuracy as well, right? In fact, Dozy is FDA 510(k) cleared. So it is, following all the best of the norms when it comes to clinical grade accuracies and so on as well.
mm. So heart rate, is it the only parameter that you capture, or any other parameters?
Heart rate, respiration, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, temperature, ECG. It's every parameter that typically you would monitor in a ICU, right? Dozy monitors all of
So all of these, like blood pressure, you can monitor
that.
without even that
Without even
machine.
touch.
Okay,
In fact,
wow,
this is we are world's first to do that, right?
wow, got you. So just curious to know if there are any similar systems or similar technologies out there in Western markets. How did we get the inspiration to build such a system?
Actually, so there has been, a lot of research which has been done on that,
Hmm.
right? And not just now. There have been some century-old research papers also on this. Frankly, ballistocardiography, the core science that we use is almost 120 years old, right? That's the fun part of it. But after ECG and, some of these, more sophisticated sensor games which are portable,
Hmm.
this entire research went for a toss. But now that sensing technology is much more improved, our processing power is much better,
Hmm.
we decided to take this up as a small experiment. But the results were phenomenal, right? And as we continued building on that, today we are at par with ICU grade equipment without even touching the patient as well, right?
Hmm. So the
So inspiration was there, a lot of research which was there, but there is no such direct similar like to like product which is doing something similar.
hmm. How did you come up with this idea? It's a very interesting idea, and I don't think you have a background into medicine. So what was the eureka moment when you thought like, yeah, let's build this?
So it was partly so why the trigger for this was actually a mishap in the family.
Oh.
When I learned that one of my close family members had gone into quite a severe condition, right? And nurses and basically because of this manual spot check, the staff figuring it out pretty late about
Mm,
it. That really created a big situation out there. That's where I thought that if we could avoid that for all sorts of patient, it will be great, right? And how I could use my acumen, my knowledge of sensors, technology to actually help build this. That was the start of it.
mhm,
Post that, there was also one accident, one very interesting one, in fact. So while we were trying out these sensors, we had actually not thought of making it, under the mattress system, right? It was actually made like a sheet. But our dog was very naughty, right? So to save
mm,
it from that dog, we kept it under the mattress. The dog went and slept on the same mattress. We then, when we were back, we saw that, the signals were being captured perfectly.
Mhm.
And that's how Dozee became contactless, right? So it is thanks to the dog, right? This became contactless as well, right? So yeah.
Mm. So thought of building something that will solve your problem, and then you landed upon this idea, and you built something using your knowledge of sensors and knowledge of technology. But then building is one thing, selling is the other part of entrepreneurship. You have to make it, you have to market it in a proper way so that there is adoption, there is a commercial angle to it. So how did you go about that? How did you sell your product? Where did you approach? Where did you go? And I think there has to be a manufacturing process to be set up so that you can produce it at scale. So how did you figure out these challenges?
So frankly, manufacturing at scale was not a big challenge for us, given that, I come from that background of building things, right? So I knew how to get things done at scale. We already had few relationships as well from my earlier career. So I knew that part. But as you mentioned, commercialization is a bigger problem, and especially in medical technology, which is highly regulated industry.
Hmm.
It also has a pathway in, getting the regulations and so on. So we did all of that. It took us almost 5 years to do the technology, ensure that it is as good as medical, as ICU grade technology, get all the regulatory certifications and so on. And first, we had actually launched it for home users, and it
Mhm.
was fairly successful, right? And we were able to, deliver good service. We were building it organically, and at
Mhm.
that very moment, came COVID,
Mhm.
which changed the entire aspect of the, how healthcare systems were,
Right.
because the infrastructure was very limited. There was not enough ICU bed, there were not enough beds, and so on. And while that, we pivoted and we basically converted our solution, which was more towards home, towards hospital. And I think that was a very important moment for us, because that really defined how Dozee evolved after that, right?
Mm.
Because that directly addressed a problem which was there, that there were not enough nurses out there at that time. It was infectious disease, so they could not go near the patient. And with a remote patient monitoring system like what was Dozee, an early warning system, we could flag exactly which patient was at risk. So much lesser nurses were required to manage a bigger ward. And that really proved that concept. And the same thing we then took in non-COVID as well, right? And basically made sure that, in every patient bed, right now our campaign is her bed, Dozee bed. And our
Mm.
vision is that, right? That now every patient bed, every patient is at risk. So every patient in 21st century should be a monitored patient,
Mm.
right? And that's what we are, driving it all across.
So I'm sure building such a complex product and selling it, it's a big task. I'm sure there would be multiple challenges that you would have faced along the way. So tell us about some of the biggest challenges you have faced while building and growing this venture.
I think one of the biggest challenges, right, is, of course, at in early stages when you don't have anything, at that time getting that momentum traction, right? That's the more, how to get our first customer, how to get that first hospital to try this
Mm.
product and take it seriously, because they are already doing something and they are, quite busy in their own lives. They don't want to try out anything new, which
Mm.
is unproven in the market, and convincing them to do it, right, and then see the benefit, take it seriously, implement that into their protocol. I think those are, few of the biggest challenges which are there. And then, of course, the bigger challenge that comes after that is that doing it at scale. When you are done it with one hospital, two hospital, maybe, by sheer brute force, but then doing it at scale, doing it for 100 hospitals, doing it for now 1,000 hospitals, right? That's the challenge that we are after. So I think
Mm.
every step that you are on in the entrepreneurship ladder is a challenge in itself. I can't pinpoint one. I think every day was a new challenge altogether.
Mm. I understand you are in a scale up phase now. You are just trying to reach more and more beds and more hospitals. But what are the future plans in terms of product? What kind of a product you are planning to become? What are the different improvements and feature enhancement that you are planning?
So we are, see, primarily Dozee is a data science company, right? And we are planning, a lot of algorithms. So the data that we are, getting with BCG, with vibration data, a lot more can be done than just than the vitals part of it, right? Like, meaning things like sleep apnea, detection of fall, whether a patient is going to develop something like a bed sore. Right?
Mm,
So these are some of the algorithms that we are actively building right now, and in we are in a process of testing it clinically. And once they are proven, we are going to launch that very soon in the market as well. Right. So those are some of the pathways. So we are going to enrich these sensors with more and more parameters, algorithms, and that's
mm.
what we are trying to do.
Okay. And curious to know one last thing. What is the funda behind the naming Dozee? How did you come up with that name? What's the meaning behind that?
Yeah. So idea is that generally and typically people as in you see health monitoring can be as easy as just lying down on the bed and sleeping.
Hmm,
Sleeping ka synonym is dozing, and dozing say I are dozy. So that's how it goes.
got it. Now we want to speak a little bit about your personal journey as an entrepreneur. So tell us, how did you, when did you think of becoming an entrepreneur, and how was there a time in your journey when entrepreneurship bug came to you?
It was not like aisa kuch ki I had to become an entrepreneur or something like that, right? It was more of wanted to do something which can create a difference, right? And this was for me, that time was the day I turned 24. Right at that time, I thought that next 15 years are the highest energy period of the life,
Hmm,
and if I could use this period to do something which can create a difference, right, will mean a lot. That will be the best use of my energy. And
hmm,
that was the moment I decided that let's try doing something different. If successful, it is going to change the world for better, right? And now I can proudly say, with whatever, still very early in the journey, I would say, but when now Dozee works, we directly save lives, right? On an average, on a daily basis, Dozee is generating close to about 30 to 40 life-saving alerts. And
hmm,
that's the big, therefore I can sleep a sound sleep today, right? That, Dozee is doing this. It
hmm,
is saving lives, which is the mission that, I really started it with.
hmm. Okay, so I think the entrepreneur's job is a multi-skill job. So you need to know how to build, need to know how to sell, people management, accounting, everything comes together. Then it forms an entrepreneur. So I think when you started, you had probably one or two skills. You knew how to build, probably how to sell. How did you acquire the other skills that are there in entrepreneurship?
So I actually partly disagree with you, right? Entrepreneurship is not about all the skills and all of that. It's not that complicated, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's only two things. One is ownership, right? And second is self-belief. And third is basically that, you know, at the end of it, that spirit which is required, the energy part of it.
Hmm.
These three things is what, in my opinion, makes an entrepreneur, right? Everything else is, are all outcomes.
Hmm.
कि बेचना कैसा है or accounting and all that, right, is all, outcomes. And if you can ask the right set of question, you can assemble right set of people, I
Hmm.
think all is sorted then, right? That entrepreneurship is that. Ownership is prime most in that, right? That if it is yours now, you learn it. Maybe if you are not good in that, you'll do it bad. Two times you'll do it not nicely. Third time you'll do it nice, right? But that's okay. Right? That's it. At the end of it. So yeah, I think it's not that difficult from that perspective.
Okay, so the first two times you may not do it nicely, and sometimes we as an entrepreneur we fail in our job. We go through failures. Probably sometimes
Correct.
we don't do accounting well. We don't do marketing well. We fail. So any such
Correct.
big failures that you have gone through as an entrepreneur, and how did you manage with that?
Lots actually, right? As in it's a constant process of iteration is that only, right? Failures and right from algorithms, right? As in first step is that the first core sensor we made, not the first sensor started working right away, right? It had to be iterated like almost 50 times to get it working. Same goes with algorithm, right? Data started coming, but it was all garbage in, garbage out, right? At the end of it. From there to getting it to give clinical grade meaningful value, it was all iteration. It was more failures than success, actually, right? Then came failures of pitching, right? We started pitching wrong messaging, right? Everyone was telling no, that, this is not what we need and all of that. We were not hitting the right uh, nerve over there of the need of the customer. But after, doing iterations, we figured out ki, haan, okay, this is what works. Then same started working and resonating with more. That's how we learned. I think it is more about failure and learning from them than actually the successes. Successes is eventually what happens, the outcome of it, but failure is the process.
Okay. Speaking of clinical grade data, I think any AI system, when you build initial phase till you reach a point, your data is not up to the mark. So you give error results, and that's how you also become more accurate as a AI system. You kind of minimize the errors until you reach the accurate point. So how did you manage that phase? Like you are supposed to get data, you have to get more and more data to refine your system till you make it viable for the market. How did you manage that phase?
So that we did by, doing a lot of clinical trials. So we did in the initial phase itself, we did clinical tie-ups with hospitals like Nimhans, Jaydeva, right, AIMS, where we collected a lot of data for our algorithms, both our data as well as the ground truth as well. And then we iterated through that to, build the algorithms. And this was not an easy phase. It took us almost 5 years, as I mentioned. Right. And even today as well, right? We are pushing the limits even further. We are good, but how can we make it even better? Right. That's the next level question. So even today as well, our research mode is always on, and we are making it even better. So if we have done heart rate, how can we now use this same set of sensor to actually also do sleep apnea or heart failure or fall detection or bed sore? Right? So those are next set of questions that we keep on asking, and research is a constant, at Dozee.
Gotcha. Uh, what would you say as an entrepreneur? I think every day you make mistakes and learn lessons. So, what would you say are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned during your entrepreneur journey that we can take away and probably apply to our ventures as well?
Yeah. Hard question. But probably if I have to list few, I think first and foremost that I really believe in is do not delay decisions, right? If the delay doesn't help anything, right? The decision can be right or wrong, but an action which is not taken, right, doesn't mean anything whatsoever. Right? Because even if you have taken a wrong decision, you can then correct it. If you have taken it, you see that you have not done correctly, then you can go and correct it later. But delay means nothing. right? It's just a waste. Second is that time is the most valuable resource. I think this is, same as first, do not delay. Right? Everything else can be brought back, but not time. Right? Money can come, everything else, right? Everything else can, be brought back except time, right? So that's the most valuable resource. Respect that and ensure that, you are using your time very judiciously, and, making most of it as well. And last is be transparent. Lots of, hard decisions need to be taken across the journey. As you go, you have to make choices which can be hard also at times. Be transparent, be fair, grounded, and be high in self belief, right? That you have started all of this with a mission, with a vision, and, it should be very clear that, what you are up to, and for that, whatever it takes, right? You have to keep on doing it till you achieve the final outcome that you set to do. That's it.
My final question, tell us, what is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur? Answer in a short way in 2-3 sentences max.
Yeah, I think I answered that earlier, but I'll reiterate that.
Yeah.
For me, entrepreneurship is ownership, firstly. Second, high energy to deliver that ownership, self belief, right? And basically, ability to ask right questions to ourselves and to others, right? That is, in nutshell, entrepreneurship for me.
Awesome. So on this note, we have reached the end of the session. Thanks for your time, Mudit, and it was a pleasure to have you on the platform, and our best wishes for Dozee.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.